Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is Piotr, and I will try to host this roundtable. You know, the people here, I have never met them. So please have in mind that this might be a very funny panel. Do you have anything against that? No? Are you fine with that? So, because I don't know the people, but they're very good people, I can assure you. I read their bios and they're very good people, but I'm not introducing them to you. The first task is for them to introduce themselves, and we'll start from Alastair. Here you go.
Thanks, Peter. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alastair Teare. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Deloitte Central Europe, the organization to which Adam has just been alluding. We are 18 countries across the Central European region, and our main role is to provide advisory services to the public and private sector with an increasing focus on what we call the dynamic growth companies. I'm a British citizen, but I've lived for over 20 years in Budapest and worked across the Central European region. Thank you.
Would you describe yourself as an entrepreneur? Or a manager?
In short, no. I'm an accountant by training. But no, I mean, I think we drive certain businesses within our organization. It's a large organization. And the main thing I try to provide is leadership and advice.
Okay. Alastair, you're from Deloitte.
Correct.
And this is the next question for you. Do you consider yourself to be a good person?
I think you should ask my wife that question.
And Alastair, you said you were an accountant. Would you find yourself to be a funny person?
When the mood takes me, on occasions, yes.
Are accountants boring?
Peter, like every sector of life, you meet interesting people and dull people.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
Thank you very much, sir. Your hobbies?
Hobbies? Oh, gosh. You know, I had a discussion with a friend of mine a few years ago when we got interviewed in newspapers, and he said, well, the trouble is you can't just write drinking and watching television as your hobbies. So apart from that, I'm quite a keen runner at the moment, even though I might not look like one. I ski. I occasionally talk to my children when I see them. I do a bit of gardening. I collect antique maps. I read a lot of non-fiction. So, yeah, I try and keep busy.
Your colleague from Slovenia, Juri Sidorovic, he told me to be nice to you because you're his boss. Am I being nice enough?
Yuri told you to be nice to me because he's scared of me. At Deloitte, we operate the pyramid of fear as our main management structure.
Does this also go for your clients?
No, we're nice to our clients. Very nice to our clients.
Thank you very much, sir. Piotr Jeleński. Piotr, you're from Poland, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, please. Piotr, introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm CEO of ASSECO Southeastern Europe. ASSECO Southeastern Europe is part of ASSECO Group, which is the 6th largest software and service producer in Europe. We operate in 12 countries, in the Southeast Europe and in Turkey, with around 1,400 people, and probably that's it. Yes, I'm managing this. We started creating this company in 2006, and still developing the business.
Can you just repeat that it was you that founded the company?
You could say so, because the company was made from mergers and acquisitions. So we have acquired about 16 businesses, which today are not visible because they were all integrated, rebranded, combined, and brought together. So it's ASSECO, but in the background are 16 companies from the region.
So, you own the company?
Unfortunately not.
No?
No, I'm just a CEO.
You're just a CEO?
Yes.
Oh, come on.
Well, it happens, it happens.
It happens. So would you consider yourself to be a manager?
A manager, yes.
Would you consider yourself to be an entrepreneur?
With time, more and more so. So the risk-taking, unlike in some cases, increases in my case with time, not the other way around.
Are you well paid?
Well, it's very relative, I would say.
Are you satisfied?
Always.
Always?
Yes.
Could you please come work for us?
Satisfaction doesn't contradict with self-criticism, in my opinion. So that's what I follow.
Your hobbies, Piotr?
Well, like Alastair, I try to find time for my children, which should be my prime hobby. But otherwise, skiing, history, reading, hiking in the mountains, yes, and skiing.
But you're based in Poland. Where in Poland?
I am based in Warsaw, in Poland, but I spend about 3 days per week traveling in the region.
So when you do the hiking, when do you hike around Warsaw? There are many beautiful parks there.
Well, you know, because I don't have much opportunities to hike and to do sports, I usually use the stairs instead of elevator. This is my, weakness. But
very practical, sir. Very practical. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome.
Mihal Wrodarczyk. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Only just. Wrodarczyk.
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 Wrodarczyk. How would I know that it's Wrodarczyk, not Wrodarczyk?
It's a good question. But you would know that if you were Polish.
You would definitely know that.
Pretty sure about that.
Okay. Please, introduce yourself.
Okay, so my name is Mihal Vaduk. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a network of online travel agencies. We founded the business in 2007. Right now we're present in Romania and Poland, where we have a leading market position. And we have smaller operations in the Ukraine, which is not the best place to be business-wise these days, but also in Vietnam. Yeah.
Oh, come on. Be more talkative, sir. Come on, go on.
Well, I don't know what you want to know. It's been very exciting doing this, running this business over the last 6 years. Right now, we are entering into a pretty exciting period for us because we're just closing a major investment round, and with the purpose of expanding into Southeast Asia. And obviously, that's pretty exciting for us, and looking forward to that.
What does your company deal in? What kind of business?
So it's an online travel agency. So
online
we
travel
mainly
agency.
sell air tickets and hotel over the internet to the general public.
Okay, you do have some competition, right?
Unfortunately, yeah.
So, does competition make you excited?
I wouldn't say we're not excited about competition, but I believe competition is healthy. It keeps us on our tiptoes, and I'd say that probably we wouldn't have got to the place where we are today without the competition. And actually, it's also a pretty good period for us today because 2 of our major competitors in Poland has just gone bust over the last year. So hopefully down the road it's going to be less of an issue for us.
Okay, Michal, this is what I wanted to ask. Your online travel agency, and I'm an older person. I think in older terms. Would you consider yourself to be a part of the tourism business, or a part of, or are you a computer person?
A commuter? Sorry?
Computer. Are you, online computer? Or are you in the tourism?
Yeah, well, I don't have a background in computing. I'm not an engineer. But, I think we consider ourselves more an e-commerce business. So we focus on the internet, on the specifics of doing business over the internet, more than tourism. Because tourism is a product that we sell, but, what preoccupies ourselves, in day-to-day business is mainly e-commerce issues. So,
okay, but you do that, you sell tourist services, and that's all fine, and you do that online. Isn't it boring sometimes? You don't see your customers, you don't shake hands with them. Actually, do you miss talking to people?
Well, hopefully there's still some people around me that I can talk to. But I think actually it's, I think we find it pretty exciting that, we need to go into the analytics systems to figure out what people think about our product, because indeed we can't talk to them. So we need to look at the analytics tool to figure out whether the product that we sell is something they like or they don't like. And occasionally we get the angry letter from a customer, and then we do hear from them. So it's not like we don't get to hear them at all.
Okay, so you get in touch with your customer only when they're angry?
No, not only on those occasions, but I think it's where the customers are angry, where they really want to talk to you. Otherwise, if they're happy, they're just enjoying their time in, Italy or wherever. We do get thank you notes as well, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, nice to hear. Your hobbies?
I like to travel, which helps because I use our systems and our websites a lot to plan travel.
Do you analyze your habits?
Do I analyze my habits?
Yes.
I don't, but the people around me tend to do that for me, especially if they find some of my behavior weird, and then I hear about myself from from the other people.
Okay, very good. So you like to travel, and do you do any sports?
Yes, I do sports, squash and skiing mainly.
Squash and skiing, okay, very nice. Thank you, Michal. Maya? Maya, you're from Croatia. Michal, you would consider yourself to be an entrepreneur, right?
I would.
Yes, okay. Okay. Maya?
My name is Maja Jelisic Cooper. I first wanted to thank the organizers for inviting me here. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Televizija Classicum, which is the company which launched Classic TV. I don't know how many of you heard of Classic TV or watch it. Can I see some hands? Great. Not that many, because you are probably not our target market, which should be 35 plus, so you must be very young.
That's me.
Okay.
That's me, yeah.
Only just.
Anyway, we are a movie channel dedicated to movies from former Yugoslavia. And in 3.5 years, our footprint is 1.7 million households in former Yugoslavia. And we also started expanding outside the region towards the diaspora and further. That's about it. And I'm probably a serial entrepreneur because I was doing other things before and I just love to build from the scratch.
So, I guess you like movies.
I do.
Okay, which is the best Yugoslav movie?
That's a tough question. If you ask me top 10, it would be easier, but there are a lot. Like right now, it's probably the most popular, Walter Defends Sarajevo.
Okay, now listen, this is so interesting. Why is Walter Defends Sarajevo so popular?
Right now, because it's going to be a remake in Sarajevo done by Chinese. So I think it's going to be a super top story.
You need to come up with the Bollywood version.
So, how would you call your business? Is it nostalgia management?
Interesting. Could be called like that. It's a positive emotions management.
Positive emotions management. Okay. And your hobbies, Maya?
I love to travel, which is great because I do have to travel a lot.
Okay. Now, one of the key missions of such panels is to, get you to know each other. So, will you use Michal's services from now on?
I would.
Which services, sorry?
Online booking,
online,
right?
Okay. Traveling, where do you travel to?
Well, I travel every 3 weeks to Oman. And back.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I travel every 3 weeks to Oman. So I'm splitting my time between Oman, Middle East, and Croatia. And then when I'm in Croatia, I'm traveling all around the region and elsewhere as needed.
Okay. Why Oman?
My husband works there, so we are kind of splitting time. I'm splitting time and working from there.
Maja Jelisic Cooper, right?
Yeah.
So Cooper is a typical Arabic name, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Look, I have so many questions about Yugoslav movies,
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to chatting with you about
and
it.
And Robert Farazin, here you go, sir.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Robert. I'm a founder of TVbeat. So TVbeat is a startup. We started the company 2 years ago in US. And we measure how people consume TV on any device, anytime. We just actually finalized our last investment round, which was $2.2 million. We are based in London and Slovenia.
Okay, Robert, based in London and Slovenia at the same time, where do you usually work? Where are you usually?
So I'm like 10 days per month I'm in London, 10 days per month I'm in Ljubljana or Slovenia, and 10 days I travel around Europe.
Okay, and if a month has 31 days, where do you spend that a day?
I think in Slovenia. I love Slovenia.
Okay, tell me, compare London to Slovenia. We more or less have been to London. Many of us have been to London. We know Slovenia. I guess it's much easier to do business in Slovenia than in London. Right, sir?
Depends. It's easier to hire good engineers here. It's also cheaper. But on the business side, I prefer London. Actually, it's, I think, easier to sign deals there than here.
Please tell me, why did you choose London?
Actually, we choose Europe because fragmented Europe works for us better. We started business in US, but US is a really huge market. And TV audience measurement is quite monopoly business last 20 years. So we decided that we will come back to Europe, where is 30, 40 markets, smaller markets. And that's why we actually also started in Slovenia, because it's a smaller market. So Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia are the markets where we started. And now we are going actually back to UK, Scandinavia. And that's why we actually decided London. London is actually all the big broadcasters, agencies, they have main headquarters in Europe, in London.
Okay, what are your main sources of revenue?
Sorry?
Main sources of revenue.
So we actually have three main clients. The first client is paid TV platforms, like any TV platforms. The second clients then are agencies and broadcasters.
Okay. Now, your hobbies?
Oh, I like to cook. I like to make companies. That's my hobby as well.
You like to make companies. How many companies have you made until now?
This one is fifth, number 5.
Number 5, okay.
Yeah.
So this is the 5th one. Where are the other 4?
So first 2 actually failed. Then one I sold in France. And with my previous one, I moved to US, where we raised quite a lot of money, tried to build a business there. But I think I was a little too much inexperienced to actually build a business in US. So we failed somehow, and with this one, I believe we will succeed. So, and then I will go back to US, make one more there.
I didn't get you.
Yeah, I would like to actually sell one company in US. So after
in the
this
US.
one, I will go back to US to sell one there.
Okay, and what will you do with TVbeat?
Sorry?
What will you do with the present company?
So with TVbeat, we want to build a business. So we are building the business now. We hire quite a lot of people. Also for example, we hire a new CEO. So I replace myself to actually really scale the business. So we want to build a big company and challenge all the monopolies all over Europe. And we will see what will happen there.
Okay. Very good, sir. And you would consider yourself an entrepreneur more than a manager. Is that correct?
Yes, I don't like to be manager.
You don't wear a tie?
Sorry?
No tie?
No tie for me.
Is ties for entrepreneurs forbidden?
I think so, yes.
You think so? Maya, you would consider yourself an entrepreneur as well, I guess. Now, just to make things clear, are you two people competition or not?
No, we actually can be partners in a way, because the services that TVbeat offers are quite interesting for us. So we'll be talking after this meeting, this panel.
Okay, are you satisfied with the introduction? Are there any questions? So you know the people now. We've got 3 entrepreneurs and 2 managers. Okay? Okay, and the ones that are managers, if you don't see who the manager is the one who has a tie. And this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take off this tie. I actually don't know why I put it on anyway. because Professor Rebernik always has a tie. Alastair, now, your business is to know your clients and to find new clients. And you always at Deloitte look at entrepreneurs, the growing ones and all that. What would you think would be the typical characteristics of a typical entrepreneur?
That's a good question. I mean, you meet a lot of very different people, but I think one of the main characteristics that always strikes me is the clarity of idea, the vision. When you meet someone who's an entrepreneur, they usually have a very clear idea of what they want to do, what they want to achieve. It might change at time, but they are very focused on what they're doing. And that always strikes me as one of the main characteristics when you meet a real entrepreneur, is that they actually have a lot of drive that comes through a deep clarity of what they want to achieve.
Deep clarity, sure. How would you say, how important is efficiency?
Not as much as you might think. I'm a great believer that most of us waste at least 70% of our time. Efficiency is, in many ways, an overrated virtue because it's about time filling. What you really need to do is make sure that when you actually have that period of time when you are lucid and able to generate ideas, that you can do something with it.
I see. Okay. Now we have 3 entrepreneurs here. What do you think? You know, you from Deloitte, you should, you know, always understand people's psyche as well.
So you can say again?
You should, being from Deloitte,
yeah,
you should always, or at least try to understand people's psyche. What's going on in their head. What do you think drives those 3 people?
Ambition.
No. From what do you think is the, you have heard Michal speaking. Mm-hmm. What do you think Michal is driven by mostly?
I think Michal wants to achieve his goals and to be very successful in what he does.
Do you think he wants to be rich?
I don't think that's his primary concern, no. That might be a pleasant byproduct. I mean, I'm sorry to speak for you, Michal, but I think if you're ever driven by the thought that you're just going to make money, that's not a clarity of vision. Money is a byproduct of what you do. It's a very necessary thing to have and to generate in the end. But in the end, I think very few people go in it just to generate money.
Yeah, I can throw in some thoughts here, actually, because many people think that entrepreneurs are driven by money, and of course money is a pleasant thing to have, but if you are greedy, you're never going to become an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurship starts with the idea of being able to risk everything for something. So yes, of course, it's, you know, the profits and, you know, and it's all in your mind, but it's really the adventure, it's the ability, the willingness to create something, and you know, and be in control of your destiny. I think this is the principal, you know, motivation.
Okay, thank you for the comment. Alastair, what do you think Maja is driven by?
What Maja is doing right?
What she's driven by.
Driven by the same. I think you have a very clear idea. I don't know exactly what you do, Maja, but I guess it's the nostalgia TV market. And there's a lot of potential there, and it's a very clear thing that you can drive in. It's a clear vision. I haven't spoken to Maja before, but I would be very surprised if Maja told me she's doing this because she wants to make tons of money.
Maja, come on, let's be honest.
That would be nice to have as the end product, but that's not the driver behind starting any business. It's usually the freedom. It's usually the goals to achieve and to build something by yourself, not to have a big corporation, a lot of layers of red tape behind, and basically not being able to quickly make decision and realize what you have as a goal. I did work before in publishing and in internet business and mobile built myself, but the thing is, I always like the projects, building the projects even within the big company.
Now, sorry. Now, starting a business on let's say, nostalgia management, I mean, or ex-Yugoslavia movies. I mean, where does that idea come from?
Actually, the thing is that...
because I ask you this because you are a very young person.
Thank you, thank you. I'll buy a drink afterwards. Now, the idea was that there should be a main platform for cooperation, for promotion of local and regional movies. That wasn't existing. It was completely niche and something missing. You know, all these people were once in one country, and there were certain things that they liked, like music, like movies, things like that. There were fashion, there were some fun stuff, and movies were one of those. And that was basically the main driver, something that people would love to see again.
You said that money is not the driver, but it is important. Can one make, in what phase is the company you have founded and you're running?
You're asking me,
yes,
right?
Yes.
2 years ago, we became break-even, and we are making money since. So we are profitable, growing pretty fast. As I said, 1.7 million last year at 1.7 million households covering in the former Yugoslavia. A year ago, we had about 700,000. Before that, we had a few 100,000. So basically, obviously, very big step.
Just for to have an idea, can you be a bit more specific on the revenues of the company? I mean,
multiplying.
I mean, how big are the revenues, sort of? Is it 2 billion or 2 million?
Unfortunately, it's not the first. It's closer to the later.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And where does most of your audience come from? From which ex-republic?
From all. We are actually present in Slovenia, on the Seoul platform, on Telemach, on T2, on AMIS, basically all the major operators, less so on the smaller ones. In Croatia, we are covering everyone, SBP Group, in Serbia, Bosnia. Basically, majority of the market. We still have quite a bit to grow. In the region plus outside the region, but we are available in basically in all basic packages.
Main sources of revenue?
Operators, carries fees, basically we get.
Advertising?
Advertising is starting, and we are getting good clients there, but it's still at a very low level.
Robert, what is behind your drive? And Piotr, don't worry, I'll come to you. I didn't forget you, you know. I would never do a thing like that. Piotr, my dear, I won't forget you. Robert.
I don't know, I was always wondering how it is to build a big company. So I decided I will do this on my own. And I actually really enjoy this. I like to build companies. So that's the only thing. I don't know what I can do if I don't build companies.
So your business is about establishing companies.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's building something from the scratch. Like, you know, you see the opportunity on the market, and, you know, then you want to build a company who will actually, you know, solve this issue. And then one day I want to sell the companies. I mean, I don't want to say that I'm making companies, you know, from next 50 years. But for every company which I start, I want to sell it. That's the, I don't have this attached to it.
Okay, and now if you establish companies, then of course, every now and then you can fail, the company can fail. Does this hurt? How is your emotional well-being when you see a company that you have founded fading away?
That's a good question. Actually, a lot of people asking me that, or how it was when we sell the company. I mean, for me, I was not sad for a long time. I mean, you know, it was failed, so I just started a new one. And I think, you know, if you build too big connection with the company, then maybe, you know, I think it's not good. So you know, for me, the company is just something which, you know, I can sell or fail, and I start from the beginning. So
Okay, but on the other hand, you say it's just a thing that I can sell, but on the other hand, you really have to be dedicated to yourself and to the company to make it work. So how can you be dedicated to something that you can sell? I mean, this is a kind of emotional distress.
So how I'm looking on that is like, you know, I'm putting really a lot of energy in TVbeat. I mean, actually, for example, I just flew from Norway. I had meetings this morning there, and when the company will be at the right stage, we are not there yet. We are very early stage at the moment. When we will have enough clients, enough market, and the price will be right, yeah, I would sell it, and I will start something new. Because, you know, at that stage when the company is too big, I think I cannot be there anymore. You know, I like these beginnings, early phases, you know, where you need to do a lot of things on your own. But when the company, I don't know, when, for example, TVbeat will be like 300 people company, I don't see myself there anymore.
Robert, would you consider yourself to be Slovenian?
Sorry?
Would you consider yourself to be a Slovenian from Slovenia?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So how come? It's so typical for us Slovenians, and I guess most of you here are Slovenians. You know, company, it's mine. It's my child. I have established it. I have worked for it. Now, just the thought of selling it off to somebody tears my heart out. If I fail, it'll be a disaster. I will die. Are you sure you're not a Slovenian?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm quite different in that perspective. I believe that failure actually is not something bad. Like, I mentioned immediately that I failed. And, you know, it's really interesting. Like, more I was failing, better I was, and the better next step I did. So actually, I like to fail. And, you know, maybe I will fail with something with TVbeat as well. Because actually, I'm always challenging myself to really push me to something where I was not before. So, for example, like I said, you know, it was first time for me that I hired the CEO in the company. So I replaced myself, and maybe this was a mistake, I don't know, but maybe this was the best thing, and we will build really a serious business done. So, you know, I think that, you know, and that's why I think a lot of companies in Slovenia has a problem, because, you know, people are saying, like you described, you know, it's my company, I don't want to fail, you know, but if you don't fail, then you're also, you know, limit your dreams. And I think that's wrong.
Even worse, I'd rather fail than to sell or to have a partner.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a small thinking of small people, you know. I think we should think big and, you know, think that we could build the great businesses. Like, for example, I believe that, you know, TVbeat could challenge the biggest monopoly in this industry, which makes 3 billion per year. I don't know, I said this in front of, I don't know, 200 people, and maybe we will fail with that, but maybe, you know, we will challenge them and something big will happen.
Thank you very much. Piotr, now, you're a manager. You describe yourself as a manager. When you manage people, who do you like to manage? I mean, if you had to choose somebody, this is an entrepreneurial type of guy, doesn't wear a tie. He is wandering off all the time, has crazy ideas, and that is good, but on the other hand, he is not disciplined. Or would you like a proper person that does the job nicely, correctly, but is not an entrepreneur? How does one nowadays run a company with people? Do you try to make your employees entrepreneurs, or is that desired?
It's absolutely desired, but how do you do it? You have to like the people.
Okay, now tell me, Piotr, which of those 3 entrepreneurs would you employ?
Well, it depends what type of business I would like to do with them.
Look, come on. Don't give me diplomatic answers.
Well, you know, probably I would choose a lady at the end. No, I'm joking. Truly, you know, it very much depends what you want to do and where you want to head, yes? And you have to like people, and you have to adjust people to the culture of the organization, to the background of people with whom they will work. Sometimes it's not who is better or worse, but who will fit better, who will adjust for the right time, right moment for the organization. And these can be completely different people at a different level of organization, different geographies, different regions, different places and cultures.
Okay? Thank you very much, Alastair. Now, you run businesses in different countries, and let's say that that you know the countries that you're operating. That is more or less Central Europe. Am I correct?
More or less, yes.
Okay. Now, let's not complicate things too much. I was having a very interesting discussion today with a Slovenian-born person who is nowadays, he's 46, and he has spent 44 years of his life in London, and he's now a big hotshot banker. Now, and he speaks Slovenian fluently. He is actually Slovenian, but he speaks English better. Now, we discussed this special phenomenon of the Slovenians not wanting to collaborate with each other, sell their companies, be enthusiastic entrepreneurs. Would you consider that this phenomenon is only limited to Slovenia, or is it a more Central European Kafka phenomenon?
I would say it's actually generally a much more Central European phenomenon.
Come closer to the microphone.
I think it's Central European, it's not uniquely Slovenian, and it's actually also Western European. A lot of people are very attached to their businesses. I think it's wrong, I very much admire what you said, actually. I think companies are inanimate objects. Once they serve their purposes and they no longer serve you, you should move on. But it's not a Slovenian or even Central European problem. It's actually a European problem now.
Now, it's not only limited to Slovenia, but where is it most common? I mean, if you had to, you like lists in Deloitte, rankings.
Yeah. Well, we see a lot of family-owned businesses, and you see either the very innovative ones that are being started up now, or you see the more traditional ones that were maybe founded 20 years ago. Now, the ones that were founded 20 years ago, where the founders are getting older, they're thinking about succession, but they're finding it tough. They're often in, shall we say, old economy. They're finding it tough, but they realize they're getting on. Their children, they want their children to take over. They're trying to get their hands around the whole idea of succession. So that actually, it's not they don't want to sell it. They don't actually even really want to pass it down to their kids.
So this is typical Slovenian behavior.
No, it's not typical. It's all over Europe.
All over Europe. But it's all over Europe, and the ranking?
The ranking is primarily on dynamic companies. These are privately owned companies that are relatively new. There it's much faster. You can gain success relatively quickly compared if you're manufacturing widgets or small bits of technical equipment. You can build your company a lot faster. I think then the entrepreneurs tend to be younger. I think then you can find now that entrepreneurs can find, they say, I've got to the stage where really I've done what I can with this. It's like Robert just said, he stepped back as the CEO because it got maybe too big and you didn't want to be a CEO. So he brought someone else to do it. It's stepping away, and I think in the faster growing businesses, it's much easier to do that. And that's something we're really seeing only now in the last sort of 6-8 years, I guess, maximum. So it's a relatively new phenomenon that we're having with new technology is driving much faster growth in startup businesses. And then I think it's easier to let go because people have ideas, they want to move on to something else. And that's what many of our panelists said today.
Is letting go not being loyal?
Not at all.
Piotr, is letting go not being loyal?
Not at all. Letting go is a very rational decision when you want to do something else, or you feel you've taken something as far as you can bring it.
So what you're saying, letting go is a rational decision,
yeah.
Irrational decision would be loyalty.
If in terms of hanging on to a business where you no longer feel that you can bring the maximum value into it, that takes the best use of your time, yeah.
Okay. When is the right time, Piotr, to your opinion, to say, okay, I have to let this go? Why am I asking this question? When I did some preparations, I remember a very nice conversation with a media entrepreneur, about Alastair age or my age, about 50, something like that. And he said, look, there is a time in life where you have to bury your children. meaning entrepreneurial children, of course. You have to do it with dignity, but you have to bury them. Now, when is the right time to say, look, I have to bury this?
Well, I would say after a few experiences I had after acquiring companies and also having the ex-owners still involved in the business or helping or sticking around, the answer from my perspective would be the right time is when the person taking this decision feels it's the right time. There's nothing worse than somebody taking this decision than regretting it. It's destructive for not only the business but for the person himself. So it's a very personal issue, and when we come acquire businesses, I invest as a company, I invest privately, the first thing I say, don't do anything you don't feel fully you want to do, even if it's a bargain for me.
Now, imagine yourself running a big company and that it's slowly failing, and you just stick to it and try to invest all you can invest into it just for it not to go bust or to bury it or to sell it, whatever. Is it a typical Central European thing to think about what the peers are going to say, what the neighbors are going to say? Will they see me as a so unsuccessful person that is not worth mentioning anymore? Is it the fear within us in Central Europe?
I think it's European problem again, not Central Eastern European. It's European problem.
So you're saying that United Kingdom is not a part of Europe?
Sorry, again? Great
Britain is not a part of Europe then, or Netherlands?
I find it European. I think British don't find it European that often.
Okay.
But I very much sympathize with what colleagues said, and I think it's a very rare example that people are open to speak about the failures, yes? People usually don't want to show their failures, which is limiting a lot of us from taking braver decisions and taking risk and developing our careers, be it management, being entrepreneur, be it whatever, yes? And this is a threat for the European economy overall.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Michal, the same question to you. The question is, when is the right time, when you see that something is not going well, when it's going really sour, the right time to bury something, the right time to let things go? And then when we finish this, we'll go to growth.
I think it's very difficult to answer this question. And to be honest with you, typically in reality, somebody else, the reality is making the decision for you. So you let go when you can't make that next bill payment. So I don't think, rarely people make this decision, on their own. Typically, it's the circumstances that force them. So we were in this position, when we founded the business in 2007, we got some funding from a VC company, and we were promised a certain big amount of money. And then the crisis kicked in, and we actually ended up receiving like a quarter of the funds. And we were actually facing that decision. But we just said, what, we're either going to make this company profitable, or else we'll have to just go, close it because it's going to close itself. Right? It's just going to go belly under. So I don't think entrepreneurs are, I don't think this is typically a decision you have to make. You either, you take your chances, you go for it, and you succeed or you fail. So simple as that. Okay.
Maja, you're a lady, and ladies, sometimes I think, I don't know if it's a pattern, but men, their hearts bleed. Many men, their hearts bleed if they, let's say, fail, if they're unsuccessful. I think you ladies are much more rational. It's just, okay, okay, and when things have to be done, you can have men discussing blah, 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 nothing gets done. Ladies, you just open up your mind, speak to each other honestly. My interest is this, I want that, da, da, da. Do we have a common denominator? Okay, let's do it, bye-bye.
It's interesting, but many would say actually the other way around, saying that women are overanalyzing things. But then I think in terms of business, it really comes with the experience. Your first business is usually like your first child, you know. You feel very attached, and it's, you are very emotional usually. And then it's very difficult to deal with potential failure, especially if you had a success. But then if you do the next thing, or this is a big lesson, and then you learn how to deal with you know, this kind of emotions. And I had such experience in the past, and I'm much more relaxed nowadays after much more experience. And I see that things are coming much easier in a way that, of course, I'm putting a lot of time and effort and work in, but I'm just not stressing around many things that I used to stress. And I think I'm being more efficient, probably with the experience, with the fact that I went through so many things in the past. That I can anticipate some things, and I'm quite clear what is worth, you know, kind of stressing about or, you know, focusing on, and what's not.
How would you describe a business person replying emails when driving?
I'm pretty bad at that. I do that.
You do that?
I shouldn't say that, but...
So please analyze yourself.
I'm multitasking.
Multitasking, very nice. Robert, how would you describe a person who is checking his emails when driving? Please closer to the microphone.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the person is thinking that, you know, driving is something which, you know, it's so easy that he could focus on something else.
I must say, I do that at traffic lights when it's red.
Oh, come on, come on. No, you don't do that. Okay. Growth. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to make a comment, to ask a question, please do that. Just shout so I can, because I cannot see you too well because you're in the dark. Okay? If you would like. Okay, so now let's go on. Growth. Is growth necessary? Do you really have to grow in order to feel the passion, the need, the satisfaction? Does it have to be about growth? You know, the old saying, grow or go. How important is growth? Do you really have to feel depressed if you don't grow every year? Robert.
Yeah, I think growth is a key. I mean, you know, if there is, you know, if you don't have any really huge dreams, then I don't know why you will actually start the company. So, you know, when you follow your dreams, the only thing how you could actually measure is if you grow. So I think this is a key in a company. And, you know, you have different growths. Like, you know, you have a growth as a person, because I think everything starts from the persons, from the team. And then you have a growth, you know, as a company. So I think is a key.
Okay, but do you have to feel, you know, when you have a very long turn down of the market and companies just don't grow, do you have to be depressed or you just act? I mean, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need profit here, I need to produce so much, but at the expense of growth. I mean, what is more important, profit or growth?
For me, growth. I'm a startup guy. I'm not a guy who will optimize the businesses, who will optimize the profit. That's, you know, the CEO will do that.
Did you say you were a psychopath?
No, I'm a startup guy. But maybe
no, because I cannot hear you well, so...
I'm a startup guy. So for me, the key is growth. You know, when you are an early startup company, the only metric is growth. Revenue is important, but growth is more important. So, you know, when you come to some stage, you hire people who will optimize your business. But when you start optimizing your business, also these nice things from startups, you know, go away. So you're becoming more I don't want to say a serious business, but maybe more, I don't know, something later stage company. So at that stage, I believe I will start another one.
Okay, now this is where we come to Alastair. Now, you're the most prudent person here. You have to be prudent because you're from Deloitte. What is more important, growth or profit?
Growth. Basically, if you do
I can grow, you know, and I can go bust.
Yeah, but if you don't grow, you probably will go bust as well. I mean, I think there's a very simple maxim in business, is that revenue comes before cost. You have to get your revenues going. Business is a momentum game. You have to keep that momentum. You have to feed the machine with new ideas, new angles on your main product, whatever it is. And then, once you get your revenue looking at, then you can look at your costs. Okay. But you don't just want to cut costs. You want to look at what you spend your money on and think, can I spend that same money and do that stuff better?
Ideas are important, very important. So it's about, if you're an owner or a manager, never mind here in this particular case, you have to inspire people with ideas which make companies grow. Now, imagine that you're in a very, very traditional society. People have lifetime jobs. And suddenly things start to change. And they're not used to that. Hey, you know, and this shift is now slowly taking place in our country, in Slovenia. The younger generation is completely berserk. They do everything, they do crazy stuff, whereas the older generation, oh, I have to go to work every day. I'll show up at 7:30, I'll leave at 3:30, and then I will do my garden. It's an important shift.
It's an important shift, but I have never believed in lifetime jobs. I mean, the idea horrifies me. I mean, I think as any human being, you need to do something different every 3 to 4 years, maximum. Oh, you should really criticize.
How long have you been in Deloitte?
I've been in Deloitte for 24 years.
I see.
I've done 6 major jobs in Deloitte. Every time I want to leave, they give me something better to do. Yeah, well. But no, I mean, it's quite interesting what you say, but most of the businesses I deal with, nearly all the people are mid-40s or younger. I mean, I don't, even in just a day-to-day life of 10, 15 years, I haven't seen much in the way of lifetime jobs. Lifetime jobs is a myth that disappeared a long time ago, I think, for the vast majority of the population.
So how would you consider this traditional environment? Is it still this notion of a lifetime employment still present in some of the very traditional environments?
I think with younger people, it's not present at all.
In
with younger people, people under 40, maybe 45, it doesn't exist at all.
Okay, why do you think that, a few years ago, I think it was at the same conference here in Maribor, I discussed this I mean, it's so strange that there was a survey finding out that most of the young generations in Slovenia would like to become civil servants.
That's probably because your government started paying them more than the private sector.
Can you repeat that?
I said it's probably because... Sorry, I'll try again. It's because, I've seen this in many countries, it's because governments in a, shall we politely say, a wave of optimism, decide that they'll reward public sector employees more than the going rate in the private sector.
Okay.
It's happened a lot.
Thank you. Maya, yeah?
The same thing happens actually in the Middle East, since I'm spending time there a lot. That's exactly what the government is doing, giving great jobs and great paid jobs at government services, and nobody wants to go in private sector and take any risk.
Piotr, I can imagine you being employed in the public sector. I can even imagine Michal being employed in the public sector, but you, Robert, never.
No.
Piotr, could you imagine yourself being employed in the public sector?
Yes, when I'm 60.
When
I'm 60.
16?
That will never happen.
Okay, when you're 60.
Yeah.
Okay, Would you like to become a politician?
No. But I can imagine it. This is the issue. I mean, at a certain level in life, when you decide to provide a service, to give out more to others for free, just because of ideals, and you have a very strong experience from whatever business life, then I can imagine deciding to do this.
60.
It can be public sector, it can be charity. That's exactly the same.
Oh. Oh. This is very Anglo-Saxon. Piotr, how old are you?
41, exactly.
41. So in 19 years, okay. Alastair, how old are you?
I'm 46.
46. So you've got 14 years more to toil off.
No, absolutely not.
You don't see yourself in the public sector?
No way.
No way. Why not?
I would rather dig a hole in the ground.
I see myself.
I beg your pardon? No, the problem is I don't really hear you when you...
I said I see myself, but only if I can change everything.
Everything. I mean, isn't that a bit too much? What? I mean, everything.
As I said before, you need to be ambitious, and I believe that people in Slovenia are not ambitious enough, and also, our public sector, how you call it, it's not ambitious enough.
Okay, Maja, could you yourself picture in the public sector?
No, I cannot. Definitely not. I would go nuts. I mean, I could not even imagine myself working in a big company.
Okay, now. You have started a company, it's yours, and it's growing, and you decide not to sell it, and then you suddenly become a millionaire. You become so filthy rich you don't know what to do with the money. Is it a bad thing? Does it make you lazy if you're getting too rich? Robert?
No, I think it's a good thing. Then you could go to a public sector for free and do changes.
Okay, now, can you have...
Being independently wealthy helps a lot.
What would you do with the excess money if you had too much money?
You could make changes then.
Yeah, sure. Michal?
If I could work for the public sector?
No, no, I think you could work for the public.
Or are you asking about the millions?
Okay, both.
Okay. I probably wouldn't be able to work for the microphone. I probably wouldn't be able to work for the public sector as a civil servant, but I could imagine myself being in the government, for sure. I think, managing a country is like managing a company. I think the only problem is that very often the people that go to politics don't necessarily have the qualities or the capabilities to manage things well, but I think it's pretty much the same job in many different ways.
So, do you think that politicians would agree with that?
Depending, which politicians. I think, the world knows many great politicians and great managers, Margaret Thatcher.
Okay, with the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, what would he say?
He's a good PR stunt, so he would say, a lot of things that sound well. I'm not saying he's not a good manager. I mean, but he's not necessarily the kind of politician that I would potentially, be one day. So, but I don't think that, I could definitely, imagine myself doing this kind of job, and I think countries would be better off if more often than not they were managed by business people, or governed rather, because the problem with governments is that very often that they just don't know what they're doing. And they go there because they can get the votes, and it's a way for them to make a good living and etc. But I think there's a problem of many countries here in Central Europe that our governments are not as professional as, for example, the UK government, or even some of the Asian governments.
Okay. Piotr, do you see yourself as becoming a real entrepreneur, establishing a company, saying goodbye to your managerial position and start all over again?
I can imagine this, but I'm taking a shortcut by investing my private money into ventures of other people, yes? So it's not being an entrepreneur, but it's sharing the risk of an entrepreneur.
Okay, and has this adventure become costly?
In many cases, yes.
Yes? And you never feel sorry?
No. It's my decision. I don't regret the decisions I made.
How much money have you made? How much money did you lose?
That's not public. Sorry.
But is it a net positive effect?
I think it's positive, yes.
Okay, very good. Now, the last question for all of you, for the entrepreneurs, and then you will assess. Is there, you know, can you imagine, Robert, that you own a company and that you wouldn't like, that you own a company you would never sell? Can you imagine yourself in that position?
I cannot say what will happen in the future, but maybe if this will be my lifestyle business after, I will be like after 50 or something, then maybe I won't sell it. But otherwise, I don't see any case where I won't sell my company.
But the amount of money that is offered is important.
I mean, it's important, but as we discussed before, it's not just because of money. At the right time, you sell for the right price, and then move on, and you do something else.
Okay, thank you very much. Maja, would you sell any company you have, or would you wait, or, is everything for sale?
I think everything is for sale for the right price.
No personal grudges, no tearing of the heart out, no bleeding?
No, when you start first maybe one, then you might be attached a little bit too much emotionally, but later on you don't.
But if somebody took that lovely TV program of yours away?
I would do something else. I would start something else.
For how much would you sell that?
Oh, it's...
Come on,
we can talk later.
Okay, okay. Michal?
The question is whether I would... Sorry.
The question is, could you picture yourself in a position where you wouldn't like to sell?
I could picture myself in that position that I wouldn't like to sell. Obviously, the offer would have to be exciting. But I think the decision on whether or not to sell really depends, for most entrepreneurs, on whether or not you feel that you're adding value to the company. Whether you can really, realize, whether you have ideas for the company, whether you believe that you can make it, bigger, more profitable, do more exciting stuff. So I think this is really the key consideration. Is this company do I have ideas for this company to get better, get bigger, get more profitable, or do I just, run it on a daily basis instead of roles? In my case, I would probably make the decision to sell when I see that I no longer can contribute to it in a meaningful way.
Okay, thank you very much. And now this is the most difficult question, and the question is for Piotr. Peter asks Piotr. Now, you are looking for somebody in your company. One of the first tasks of every manager, of every CEO, is to establish somebody as your successor. And you are working with those three people here, the entrepreneurs. Please, Piotr, tell us, who out of the three are your successors? And don't give me any diplomatic answer, just name the person and why.
Well, again, I will refer to what I said, and it's not diplomatic. I don't know any of the three persons here well.
No, you can, no, you've been sitting with them now for more than an hour.
Just a second. So, but also I was in situations where I had to take decisions without knowing the background thoroughly, and so the pressure forced me to take this decision. So I can imagine such absurd situation, even though it is absurd. In that case, as I mentioned before, I would take a decision trying to fit, to have the best cultural fit, yes, and the easiest entry point into the structure, corporate structure, because most of the corporate structures are being established with some Polish flair and Polish background, and the mother company is Polish. I would choose a Polish person for this.
Okay, you would choose a Polish person.
Yes. But this is a shortcut without knowing the backgrounds of the people, without knowing, but the entry point, the introduction point, and the risk would be smallest.
So you would prefer a Polish man than a Croatian lady?
Well, me, for this company, at this situation, knowing what I know, yes. For the company, for me as Piotr, whatever, it's a different question.
Thank you very much. And final question for Alastair. Now, which of those three are going to be, in 10 years, most successful?
It's a good question. Can I digress a bit? Because when you were just talking about will you sell your company, it reminded me of an English author and poet called Thomas Hardy, who's actually one of my favorites. And he wrote a book called The Mayor of Casterbridge. It's based at the end of the 19th century. It starts off by the guy who becomes the mayor. He gets drunk at a fair, and he sells his wife. So we've got, nowadays you can't sell your wife. You can divorce your wife, but you can't sell your wife. So we've made progress. So maybe it's a bit like this. You know, you think, old technology, you can't sell your company, but hey, maybe it's like a 19th century wife, you can sell it. Just an observation. Now, what was your question?
My question was, you have three entrepreneurs here. Mm-hmm. To your long year experience, who would you assess is going to be the most successful one or the richest one out of those three?
Let's see.
Okay, I think Robert is the craziest one.
I think he's an accountant, so he needs to see the balance sheet first.
No, I'm just thinking. I mean, the nostalgia market does have limitations. Of course, you might do something else. You have more competition. I know the least about what Robert does, so I have to go for Robert, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Robert. Okay, so the winner of this panel discussion is Robert. Please. Thank you very much. Thank you.